All right. I'm Danny Prashonik with BlizzPlanet. I'm here with Alex Klonzis and Joe. I forget your last name already. Pipora, sorry. Okay. They're both designers on the Heroes of the Storm team. Real quick, why don't you guys just tell me a little bit about what you do on the Heroes team and your role and what's been going on at BlizzCon.
All right. So I'm Alex. I'm a senior producer on the team. I work with the live designers that help balance the game, essentially.
Yep. So I'm Joe Pipora. I'm the lead system designer on Heroes of the Storm. So I work on matchmaking, I worked on rank play, UI features, and basically everything just outside the match experience.
So what did you guys do for Orphea? Do you guys have any design with her directly?
Like I mentioned before, I work with the live designers. So their role when it comes to any new hero, and specifically with Orphea, is to make sure that there's this passage of the hero. It leaves the hero designers and it enters the realm of the live designers, and they need to make sure that they're actually balanced to enter the game. So there's a lot of talent iteration, a lot of feedback back and forth with the hero designers. Especially her Shadow Waltz actually was a really interesting ability to balance because, and just in case you're not aware of how that works, it's basically a line skill shot that she throws out, and it's kind of her bread and butter ability, where if it hits a hero, it'll reset the cooldown to 2 seconds. So if she's good at landing her Shadow Waltzes, she'll actually keep resetting those. And also, on top of that, her next movement command after landing it will actually be a small dash. So she will literally be dancing around as long as she's landing the Shadow Waltzes. And that was a really interesting ability to fine-tune, to feel good, both for Orphea player, because she wants to land those and feel rewarded for it, but also for the enemy team to be able to have those moments of counterplay where they can deal with her conditional mobility to some degree.
Cool. Anything you want to add?
No, I mean, we're all involved in the playtesting on the team. So we're involved in weekly and daily playtests for Orphea. I mean, we've been working on her for a long time. We're really excited about being able to unveil her today at BlizzCon was phenomenal for us. I was actually over at the, I wanted to be at the hero stage, but actually ended up at the World of Warcraft stage, and just being able to listen to the crowd go crazy when we had the Orphea cinematic play was just great. And then we had the gameplay video come out where they could see Orphea bouncing around like the dancer that she is, nailing those shadow waltzes and just and dodging and dodging. It was great to see everything come together. So just super excited.
So Orphea is the first hero that we've seen that isn't from any other Blizzard, franchise or anything. So normally you guys have kind of a template that you could go off of because they have kits in other games. So talk about how challenging it was to build a hero from scratch that doesn't have any base kit or anything like that. So.
All right, so kind of earlier this year we had our Echoes of Alterac event, which brought in Alterac Pass, and that was kind of the last missing universe that wasn't fully represented in the game. That was Warcraft. So at that point we're all right, we want to go back to what we did initially, which was kind of introduce you to this new world, which is the Nexus. All these battlegrounds you've been playing, like Towers of Doom and Cursed Hollow, they're original places within the Nexus. And we've been bringing in all this original content, but we hadn't done a hero yet. So we thought that now is the right time to do that, because this entire year has been about building the lore of the Nexus, creating this identity for it, and Orphea is the culmination of all those efforts for the year. And in terms of having a clean slate from the design perspective, when we first saw her concept, which is kind of her like a dancer, but she had this really big relic on her back.
On her back by Oscar Vega, the artist who did that.
I hate that guy. He's so talented. He's so talented.
He's so talented. It's
all this Orphea stuff is him, and it's just I hate you, but I love you so much.
No, it's so good.
He's insane.
Once you see the silhouette, you get a sense of how large that relic is on her back, and I guess I'll hold it the same. Yeah, how big the relic is on her back, and just seeing her graceful style and stance, it really it allowed the designers a starting position. Who is this person? What is her connection to her father? How does it connect with Ravencourt? Who is she, right? And then finding ways for those things to manifest over time.
Yeah, and specifically the relic, that opened up so many options in terms of what abilities we could design for her, because it's this monster in the closet. How is that going to manifest? What can we do with their abilities? And it really gave them a lot of room to kind of do whatever they felt was appropriate. And like you said, it's a clean slate. You're not bound by trying to match someone's fantasy about a hero. And we get a lot of design space, especially with a talent system, but this was just us kind of going completely ham.
So speaking of that, can you talk a little bit about the fantasy surrounding her abilities? They almost look a little Shaw-like from World of Warcraft, but not quite. So just wondering if you have anything you can speak on that.
Sure. So Orphea is innately a magical creature. I'm going to say, like, she's come from a, you know, her bloodlines from the, you know, her Ravenlord's her father. She has magic in her blood. But what this relic does is it kind of amplifies her power, and what you see coming out of the relic is actually kind of the manifestation of her anger and her rage against the Ravenlord and what he's been doing across the Nexus. If you've been following the comic books and the events we've been doing this year, like, you know, he attacked King's Crest and kind of burned that to the ground essentially, and this is her rage, you know, manifesting this way while she fights, because, you know, she really wants to see the Nexus be a better place.
Right, like the Ravenlord is royalty in Ravencrest. Right? Like he is a massive figure of power as a realm lord in the Nexus. Right, Nexus, this combination, this place where all these worlds meet. Ravenlord has ultimate power. Now, I mean, as his daughter, you know, she's taken in so much of that, the bloodline otherwise. Yeah. And we get to kind of see that reflected almost in her when you look at her outfit and the way that she kind of carries herself. She's royalty. She's nobility. Yeah. Like this is not a person who grew up on the streets. This is a person who grew up in a palace with servants, right? And she flows so gracefully. But seeing her in game, when she is doing, like, when she has basically almost two personalities, where she is floating through like with this kind of like this serene set about her, where she seems like she's in complete control. But then the moments when she's ready to really unleash herself and use the relic to amplify her powers, those massive smashes of energy. You know, they like seeing the monster manifest and just destroy her enemies. It's really, really interesting to see. It almost seems like she's almost a little too young to control it. And it kind of comes across when you're watching her play. Yeah,
the artists and the animators really played that up where, you know, she's really powerful, but she almost doesn't know what to do with this just yet. All she wants to do, though, is just get at her father and stop what he's trying to do.
How about talk about her rotation a little bit? So she's got Shadow Waltz, Chomp, and Dread. And maybe talk about maybe some of her talents that could be used for some good combos and whatnot.
For sure. So I'll just quickly go over the abilities. So, I mean, we discussed Shadow Waltz. It's her Q. It's like kind of her bread and butter. Line skill shot. If you hit a hero, you get charges of her trait, and also it resets, plus your next movement command is a dash. So you can kind of move around. You can just dance around your enemies nonstop. Chomp is more of a... it's almost melee range, kind of just nuke essentially. You know, these crushing, these jaws just come out and just slap people around. And then her Dread it's her longest range ability, and it's also a skill shot which will just go down a line. You know, these tendrils come out of the ground, and then it'll reach this point, and then it'll just explode with damage in a slow. And that's her base kit. But she has a lot of talents that kind of amplify or modify those interactions. Like if you go down Shadow Walt's path, then you can get even more resets, or you can add more skill to kind of show how good you are with a hero, where if you hit people at the end of your Shadow Waltz, you deal more damage. So if you're good at like keeping that maximum distance between you and the enemy, then you're doing all the more damage and more resets. Or if you want to play more safely, you know, depending on the draft, you can kind of invest more into Dread, where you can nuke from further away. You don't have to put yourself in that much risk. But she's got so many options.
Yeah,
I don't even know.
But why play it safe when you can just level up your Chomp, go down that W path, like, you know, land that Shadow Waltz, dive in on the enemy team, chomp the hell out of everybody. You know, keep getting more and more damage in that Chomp as you kill enemy heroes, as you kill the minions. You get that almost that mini Asmodean feel. You know, it feels really, really good to get that power going. Yeah.
Yeah, and just in terms of her heroics, because we haven't gone over those yet, like her first one is called Eternal Feast, and it's basically this giant pool that shows up, and then after a small delay, like a manifestation of the you know, Chomp just like crashes down, and, you know, does a decent amount of damage. But the special thing about this is that it will infinitely keep repeating as long as it hits an enemy hero. So if you get your wombo combo, you know, you have your ETC, jumps in there, mosh pit, you throw that, it's just going to keep smashing down. You know, throw it in a choke. People are like, do I get out of it? Do I fight? What do I do? Yeah,
it's beautiful.
That's her, like, if the team can follow up, that's like, it's amazing. Or if you're kind of like a selfish player, I guess, and you want to do all the killing, her Crushing Jaws, which is her second ability, it's also a skill shot. Where this rectangular shape appears, and after short delay, these two like jaws. I don't want to break the mic, but like they just come in and just close and bring everything to the middle, and it also does a damage and stun. So you can really use that to set yourself up where, you know, you'll throw out a dread and you're like, oh, it's going to connect. And then you just unload, you know, you drop eternal crushing jaws, and you throw your Q, you jump in, you chomp, and then you Q out again, and you just do this giant comp. If you can land it, it's the most satisfying thing ever, because it's just like everything's just blowing up.
Yeah, if you can land it is the thing, right? So like going back to the point that Alex brought before about conditional mobility. So like landing that Shadow Waltz hit feels really good. But how many times have you been playing Li Ming where you have that really aggressive teleport that you shouldn't have made, and now you're in the middle of their team and everyone hates you because you didn't get your reset and you're dead, right? That happens, right? So like landing a Shadow Waltz, diving into the enemy team, landing a chomp feels really good. But as soon as that's over, if you miss your next Shadow Waltz, because when you land a Shadow Waltz, it resets the cooldown to 2 seconds. So you can use it again pretty quickly. But if you miss that second Shadow Waltz when the cooldown's up, now you're going back to the full cooldown for that ability, and you can't get away as easily. You don't have the escape anymore. Yeah. So that's the place where the enemy team gets a chance to counterattack. If you end up in a situation where you're going up against an Illidan, so they can dash around you and really avoid those Qs, you're going to be in a really tough spot. You don't have the ability to just teleport away like a Li Ming would in that situation. You have to land a Q to teleport. Yeah. You know, so those are the ways we can kind of get around the situation. Like sometimes there's concerns about mobility crew. This is our attempt to kind of go after that and still create a really exciting ranged assassin that has the ability to kind of jump in and make those plays. But you got to make those plays.
Yeah, and one thing to remember as well, though, like her trait, which is Overflowing Chaos. Yeah. If you're good at landing your abilities, every time you hit a hero, you get an extra stack of this trait, and what that does is that it empowers your next auto attack to deal more damage, but you heal based on that damage as well. So if you're the best Orphea in the world, you're throwing out your abilities, you're weaving in auto attacks, you're healing up, nobody can kill you. If you're mortal like us, if you do miss that Q, you're not completely stranded. You still have the opportunity to fight and like get those trait stacks, trade some autos, try and survive until your Shadow Waltz comes back up, and then maybe get out. So she does have a lot of tools to kind of get in and out, and even if she doesn't, though, she has opportunities where she can still outplay her opponents and survive long enough for her team to maybe
drop a point blank dread to like basically hit the enemy right near you and snare them and give you just a little bit of a second chance to get away. So you have some opportunities, but generally speaking, that extra mobility, you gotta make sure you land those Shadow Waltzes.
So basically, her trait was designed for kind of survivability, though, right?
Yeah, at her core, she's like a mid-ranged assassin. So she's not kind of like a Li Ming who can just throw her spells out from safety. If you want to play her well, you have to, get in the other team's face. So we needed to have a way for her to actually be able to survive in those fights, but we also don't want it to be free. So again, it relies on you hitting your abilities, getting those trait stacks, also weaving in auto attacks in between those, making a decision like, do I want to do more damage with the spell or do I want to auto attack and survive? Like that was a really important factor for us. And that kind of all plays back into our original goal, which was to make a very accessible hero. Like when you play her abilities just make sense, but there's so much nuance to how you play them and how those interact with each other that those high skill cap players that really want to chase that fantasy have the ability to like showcase just how good they are.
What about like what heroes would you say that she's like really strong against and then really weak against?
All right. So because she's that mid-range assassin, she's very susceptible to poke. Like she needs to have a target to kind of play off of with her Shadow Waltz to start getting those stacks, getting in your face, chomping, getting out. Like she wants to do that. If you've poked her out before she can even have a chance to do that, she's going to go in and then she's going to just fall over because she doesn't have that survivability. Because I mean, she's an assassin at the end of the day, so she doesn't have the biggest health pool. So that's one way to get it around it. So like, I don't know, maybe a Junkrat or like even a Li Ming. Like just poke her down. Don't let her heal up with auto attacks on you, and then she just can't maximize her abilities. Also, a hero like a Garrosh, right? He wants you to be in his face because you trust me, first time you play her against a Garrosh, you'll be like, I landed my Q, and you dive in, you're about to chomp, and he's like, nope, and he just like throws you over, and you're like, okay, that was a bad idea. Maybe I need to go down Dread build this time. So he's pretty good. But yeah, it mostly poke for just the like a general go-to of how to deal with her. But yeah, like a Garrosh is a pretty good counter against her if you want like a specific hero.
Okay. What do you think are going to be the most ideal maps to play her in ranked play specifically?
All of them, because they're all perfect.
So let me think. I feel like Orphea is going to have a lot of advantages in Towers of Doom because her ultimates really set her up at a lot of different choke points and fights over control points. You have a lot of areas where you can really land very easy Qs. I think E comes in a lot.
Yeah.
Basically, she's just really good at locking down like chokes easily with support of other heroes. So I think that's actually a really strong map for her.
Yeah, yeah. Most likely, any map where you're forced into like a 4-man, 5-man brawl and you don't split up a lot, because it just means she has more targets to try and land her Q with. But again, because we want her to be this like approachable hero, I wouldn't say she's necessarily bad on any map. She'll obviously have a couple that shine, like Joe mentioned, like Towers of Doom. You want to get and control those points and kind of fight against them. Yeah, I can't think of one where she'd necessarily be a bad choice. She's designed to be approachable and fill that range assassin role.
Yeah.
Cool. So this is kind of a different question. So normally when you have a hero from another Blizzard franchise, you already have an established voice actor. So do you guys have any idea like how you went about finding a voice actor for Orphea in any of that process?
Actually, you know what? We haven't had that discussion, and I would need to go talk to one of my creative guys about that. Man, that's a really good question, though.
We didn't prepare for that one.
I didn't prepare.
Yeah, I know you guys are systems guys, so I thought that was kind of out there one.
Yeah, I mean,
okay. Yeah.
I'm sure there's a process for it.
Yeah. So we work with our lead writer Justin Dye handles all of the conversations about voiceover. So he writes all the lines. He's different characters. He's been doing it for all the heroes going back for a long time at this point. He also then goes into the studio with the voice actors and actresses to kind of like direct them through the lines and give them a little bit more insight when they're in the studio. Mm-hmm. So I would say that he is the one that typically goes through and tries to figure out like between him and then Kevin, going through and trying to find Kevin Johnson, trying to find the right actor or actress for every character. Like they'll work together on that. Mm-hmm. In this situation, I'm sure they went further afield. Like we do bring in new voice actors and actresses occasionally for like characters that are new to the Nexus, but like we didn't. I guess we did use the same voice actress for Medic, didn't we, for Morales?
I
think we actually.
Yeah, there have been a couple where we've gotten someone like we couldn't get the original one, and we got someone that's close enough. But I mean, if I had to guess, probably something that they really looked for was because, like just said, we have this idea of this very regal individual that has stands strong, has poise, and needs to act a certain way and sound a certain way.
Articulate.
Yeah. They probably focused a lot on that because you need someone that can bring that forward, but also when they're mad, you need to know they're mad. Yeah. So that's actually a really interesting question and.
Good question.
I'm actually curious right now. I should probably go ask him. Like, how did you?
I think you guys answered it pretty well for being systems guys. So, what about the new skin that we saw in the video? Talk to me a little bit about that. Yes, that was the one. Yes.
The other one.
Okay, fine. Talk about both of them.
Do you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. So we thought it was just fun. We already had a couple of these skins in this universe. We decided I want to kind of like play with this idea of Ravencourt High School and like what that might look like. Kind of play off the more youthful innocence of Orphea in that space. Just kind of had that. It was really great. Like we saw the original concept of this grunge look, this like Breakfast Club Orphea almost, right? Like everyone just kind of fell in love with it. It's like really weird and cool, right? Yeah. And at the same time, we're having this conversation about Janitor Leoric, which I mean, like the community went crazy about. It is. It's fantastic, right? It's been a great idea the whole time. We've wanted to do it the entire time. It's a question of when's the right time to bring it all out and really show it off to the community, right? We wanted to talk to the artist in overseas and like really like we got his bow tag like actually on the shoulder pad for the skin. So we really want to like bring all that stuff home. Being able to have all these characters come together and show like, we had like our volleyball Li Ming, we had our cheerleader Kerrigan, like saying like, these are all characters from Ravencourt High School with the janitor Leoric, right? Like for us, that was like really fun to bring everything together and like unify those colors and themes. So it was just a really good time.
Yeah, it was actually really good timing as well because we were working on Orphea and we're like, oh, okay, let's figure out what her launch skin is. And we had already been working on Janitor Leoric at that point, and we're like, oh, she's gonna land somewhere around there. Yeah. And someone was like, what if this skin was actually in the same place as Janitor Leoric? And so like they went to town. They're like, what if this? And then like cheerleader Kerrigan is also part of that school, and striker Li Ming is on the volleyball team. And it was like it's just perfect. Yeah. So I mean, it was super fun because like ever since we saw the first concept for Janitor Leoric, the community was just like super excited about it, and then we sent them around and we're like, you know what, this is too good to not do. Like this is really great work from the original artist. So we worked with him, like just said, kind of bringing into the game, and it's just been super fun to just work on all his abilities and all this fun stuff that he can do, and just keeping him a secret and not being able to do anything about it.
I mean, on the team, we're the biggest nerds for Heroes of the Storm on Heroes of the Storm. To be perfectly honest, like let's be honest. Like we play the game like crazy. We read all the threads online. We do all the stuff. So like when we were like, we're going to try to go after January, or we're going to actually do this. It was like, all right, we're doing all this. We're doing all the effects. His attune's different. We're doing like everything that the guy talked about and more. We're going to do all that stuff.
Yeah,
like that was really fun. And when we got back to the Orphea part, we're thinking about like what her like Ravencourt High School skin might actually look like, and then it was a matter of like, well, can we get Chomp with braces? You know, like what? Like how far can we take these ideas? Right? Like that's it. And everyone's just nerding out about it because we love the game.
Yeah.
Right? It's like it's just fun to do these. I have all these ideas because in the Nexus anything can happen.
Right.
Yeah, and we're a very collaborative team. Like everyone pitches into these ideas because someone will just like, it's like, what do you think about this? And everyone's like, all right, we got to do this and this and this, and we have to. If we don't do it now, we'll do it later. Like there's all these really cool ideas, and if only we could get to all
things in the cutting room table.
Yeah, it's so good, and that's kind of actually how we did the Cloaken announcer as well.
Yeah,
the Kevin Johnson one, where I don't know, someone at some point said it would be a cool idea to have Kevin as an announcer, and they're like, it would be.
Yeah, people said because inside the dev team, like we love that, and we'll see you in the Nexus. Like we love that. Like we love Kevin. He's just such a great positive personality in the game.
He's got a great voice. So
he does.
He's really perfect.
He's got a great voice and face for radio. So like with that in mind, like we just love the idea. We love the idea of bringing him as an announcer.
So does Alex, though, right? I mean,
hey, so do I.
Wait, whoa.
Let's not pile on. No, but like we're really excited about having him in. I just feel like he's again another really positive presence. Again, another great idea from Reddit and from our animes, from our community feedback. Like just great stuff.
Yeah, we love, like just said, we spend a lot of time on social media getting all gameplay feedback, but also all these like creative, like, hey, look at this cool concept skin I made, and we look at that and I'm like, wow, where did you think of this? Now he's got the idea.
Yeah. It's almost like our community occasionally has good ideas.
I'm gonna sit over here. So tell us, Joe. It's like an infinite source of these really great ideas, and every time we can actually bring one of those into the game, it's just so good.
Great inspiration.
Yeah, I mean, being part of the Heroes community, I can say that it is a great community. I've been to so many different community events. All the community managers have been great. I've been hanging out with Alex in the past, so I love the Heroes community. So I love that you guys are able to like take ideas from us and really incorporate it in the game. So I know we're almost out of time, so I guess the last thing I'll ask is, when can we see her on the PTR?
Next week. She's actually going to be available there. Yeah, early next week we're gonna release her there. One thing to also mention is that actually, if you had a virtual ticket, or if you're here at BlizzCon, you actually get Orphea for free when she goes live. That's not going to be the case on PTR. You're still going to have to go through the quest because we want to get ideal environment for people testing out. But the minute that patch goes actually live, you just have Orphea log in, play her. It's going to be great.
Check her out.
Well, thanks, guys. This was an awesome interview. A lot of fun. Thank you so much.